her dad is a spiritual teacher. And like you said, with your dad in Islam and stuff, and having people who are outwardly spiritual, but doing things that aren't spiritual, you know, like, what is spiritual about that?
And you know, I tell you, one of my first, when the first time I reconnected with him, when I was fully into manhood at 30-ish, 31, you know, first thing he wanted to do was start preaching at me. And I'm like, whoa, player, hold up. Let's bring this back. Let's bring this back a sec. Rewind. I completed a full Marine Corps career, have 2 sons of my own, and you staying at my girlfriend's house because your money ain't right. So let's back up. Oh, and by the way, and you requested that she buy you a 6-pack of beer every day. have a daily 6-pack. Like, it was a total show, and it took me about 2 days to realize what was happening. So by then, like I said, for him to get into preacher mode, I'm like, whoa, let's hold up. This is not falling into place. I thought maybe you just had to get yourself settled and
right.
This is not falling into place. You what did Lauryn Hill say? A Muslim sleeping with the jinn. Now that is a sin that did Jezebel in.
Right.
I was like,
jinn, okay?
Right.
And you can spell jinn G-I-N or J-I-N, okay?
Thank you.
Right. Both of them the same thing.
Same thing. So to have that be happening, I was like, wait, what am I missing here? Like, who you?
Yeah.
Who do you feel you have?
You know the jinn in Islam, right?
I don't. I figured it was a reference I should learn. But please educate me. Let's get
so what's so cold about Lauryn Hill is, like, she had to know that was the wordplay going on, right? So you sleeping with the jinn. I mean, you could be sleeping with the jinn like that, you know, like how we know it in American context as alcohol. But J-I-N is the name for Beelzebub, Satan, demons. It's the name for demons in Islam are the jinn. So that's, you know, she did a beautiful wordplay on that, and just like, yes, you sleeping with all kinds of devils and demons, and you trying to say, you know,
you're a Muslim of that tenets and all of that. Like,
I mean, if you've ever met, and I'm sure you have, because you have lots of very broad experiences, but I know some Muslims that are like, whoo, 100 grand. I trust them with my life. They are so committed to their path, to their work, to social justice, to keeping it real, you know, to the tenets of their faith, the true tenets of their faith, you know? And it's just like, yo, that's what I can get with across the board. And that's why, honestly, Jude, this is why I push energy, like understanding energy so much, because all those little codings, all those little respectabilities that we've learned, you know, it keeps the truth. It keeps places for people to hide and keep manipulating people under, you know. So if you like you can read energy, like you said, sometimes it takes you a day or two, like, hold up, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What's really going on here? I hear what your mouth say. I hear what your mouth saying. I hear what you want me to believe, because you keep trying to program me. You keep trying to like prompt the programming.
Right.
You know? People prompt the programming. It's like,
all the time.
Yeah, but I already deprogrammed myself from that. And matter of fact, when you do that, I know exactly where you're coming from.
Yep.
I'm like,
and you know what frequency they on. You know what frequency they on.
Right.
It's funny, for my Love Letters podcast I wanted to do, it's going to be all, I'm going to try my best to make it all song based. And the reason why that relevance, because the topics will be based off a historically significant Black song. So Lauryn Hill's Doo-Wop, like when you talked about, like, I know I have examined the lyrics to that song because the whole point of the Love Letters podcast is to try to bring us back together. Like, why is it that WAP instead of doo-wop is the theme that we're following in our relationships? You know, did you see, I tried to send you, did you see this, this young sister went viral on Instagram Live because she basically just blew, oh my goodness. Matt, I should have tagged you. I don't know what I was thinking. Before I forget, let me tag you. The sister went ham in on Cardi B. She went ham and she used that as really a call out to Black women, not specifically or all, but in general, she was saying, she said, one of the things she said, which is really relevant, because I don't know if you know Zaza Ali. Wow. Okay, so we're gonna continue educating each other. So Zaza Ali is she's in the, I would say you're in the mold of her. She's a very spiritually enlightened sister. She's kind of like the Claire Huxtable or the Alana Van Zant of the neo soul connective community. A lot less commercial than Iyanla. Nothing against Iyanla, but she's kind of out there on a different plane now. But this sister, so she was dating what's the name of the brother something from, I'm blanking on all the relationships, but long and short, I think he was from Brand Nubian. His brother, I'm thinking about Professor Griff. So Professor Griff, I think he was Public Enemy.
Yeah, he's married to Soleil now.
Right. His previous long time, first time was Zaza Ali. So
okay.
But so he was yoked on this level. She's been yoked on this level. She's not as well known except inside specific circles, but she should be bigger. But she made a quote, I remember 2 years ago. She says, concubines are, I'm gonna mess it up. I have it saved. Concubines are running the culture or something to that effect. I can't believe I'm blowing it up, but I will find it. But it was such a relevant statement because it basically saying, this young sister I'm talking about that went viral, one of the main quotes she said was, your role models are whores. Black women, many of your role models are whores. If you think that adding colored extensions and these fingernails and eyelashes and all this artificial stuff, she basically just went in on how we need the family unit. Are you familiar with Shahrazad Ali? Whoo, I am slacking because I should.
Yeah, but I will say this. And this is actually what came up as relevant and resonant with me to have a conversation with you about, because these are going to be points of contention for me. because I'm a womanist, because of like the way our traditional archetypes of family are not upheld and not even looked at as relevant. Like for a Black woman to say, this is just where it hit me. And I get, like, I feel the resonant energy of what she's saying.
Right.
But the whore archetype is a known spiritual archetype. It is a spiritual archetype.
And okay, go ahead.
The whore is a spiritual archetype. If you look back at the archetypes of women, and the reason why it's turned into that is because of patriarchy and the putting women under the direct control of men. Right? To like, what can I do with my body? What is appropriate for me to do with my body? What is appropriate for me to say? How do I dress so that I'm not taken advantage of and being a victim? This is where the whore archetype, the modern whore archetype becomes something that's bad. the original whore archetype is a woman who could use her yoni energy in whatever way she directed it and to assist men in manifestation, right? So the sacred whore is someone who uses her sexual energy to help to manifest things. The same way you would go to a preacher for prayer.
Okay.
You would go to someone who knew how to use the power of their sexual and sensual energies and was doing that as a service. And this is where the whore archetype comes in, because no, you need to be my manifestation tool. You know, you only belong to me. And then the yoni and the sacred power of women becomes something that men get to dictate, and other women take on that patriarchal role and start to tend women's boundaries. How dare you tell me who my role model can be? You know, if you listen to like Dolly Parton and some of her, have you ever heard Dolly Parton's story?
I've recently come across this reference that no, not specifically, but it's on my to-do list because she has recently come into the news somehow because of she's basically did a lot of supporting of Black females recently, and that got her tagged into a bunch of different groups I was in. And basically she had a lot of, and I guess you're leading this way, there was a lot of taking control of her own sexuality. And I guess some of her lyrics were very specific, very direct, and she was kind of empowered. And she's like a major force in Nashville right now. She's like, you know, in the Beyonce mold, I want to say, but I take that back, in like a Oprah level type of power in Nashville.
She is like the matriarch of like Nashville. But what I was getting at specifically, I don't know what she's doing currently. Like I wasn't aware of that.
She's running a lot of female-driven production and empowering women stuff out in Tennessee. She's leveling up. She's leveled up. Yeah. But
the reference that I was specifically referring to was she had a rocky childhood, and I can't remember all of the specifics, but basically the town whore took her under her wing, right? Because her parents weren't active or caring or whatever the situation was. That was her role model. You know, and I remember one story about and I hope I'm getting this right, about like the lady would walk her to school, you know, like, you know what I'm saying, to keep her from, you know what I mean, and all that kind of stuff, and gave her the game basically about reading these energy dynamics. If you spend, you know, have you ever met somebody who is an outcast, an outlier, you know, is an outlier, right? Yeah. They, you know, the people who like, they just, somewhere in their spirit, they can't conform. They can't conform to enough to fit in. So they just become outliers. They just like, I might as well just be all the way honest because ain't nobody gonna take me like how I am. Right. They be speaking the truth. They be speaking the truth. And that's, you like these outliers on the, you know, on the Pan-African side as well. So I know you respect that. Absolutely. But the thing about it is like, I get what people saying, but it's also like,
I'm with you, and I just want to clarify that what we're talking about is there is that ancestral or original meaning, and then there's now the social construct as it is now. Right. You know, and I know that doesn't mean that you're supporting that, but I think what it is saying is that if I gather right, that if Dolly Parton can find her path and way and care out of this apparent, you know, construct of that, why would that be something that someone else would look down upon in any context? Am I understanding kind of what you're saying?
Well, it's sort of like that, but what I'm getting at is I find it disturbing across all levels for anyone to approach the speaking to women about what they should and should not be doing.
Okay.
From the context of something outside of themselves and their own bodies. Like there's a difference between saying, this is what I noticed and this is where it hit me. Just for other people to be able to contemplate, right? Especially when it's got to do with people's spirituality, their mental capacities, and their bodies, right? Like how the conversations themselves are graspings of power. It's still the same conversation. Who gets to define a woman? Who gets to define Black woman? You know, the Black woman does, the individual does, you know? So say for instance, you come across somebody and they've been married for 50 years. Right? They've been married for 50 years. They like the model Black couple, you know, all this stuff. And people are like, tell us how you did it and all this stuff. And you would imagine that it would be something like, you know, we grew up childhood sweethearts and skip. You know, you just want to hear the fantasy and the fairy tale. But what if she was a prostitute and he was a John, and then they found out that they loved each other and they got married? Does it make it any less significant that they spent 50 years together? For some people, they'd be like, oh, hell no, I don't want that kind of love. Really? I mean, because you just said you want to be with somebody for 50 years. The reason why people don't stay together is because they come into it with lies. They come into it with lies. They come into it embodying an archetype that doesn't fit them. Yeah. And we have to create more spaces in our society for people to be able to show up how they are, right? So a recent conversation I had, somebody was, you know, the situation that I had told you about, right? They were like, they called me a cisgender woman, right? You know what it is?
I know what it is, but I don't know how that doesn't apply to you.
Right. Okay. So if you don't know me deeply, it can, right? So I look like a female, and, you know, I have children, you know, so people can write my story for me, right? So it's like, number one, I have a hard time prescribing to many things, even I do, because I'm very aligned with my feminine aspects, like the feminine sides of me, but I'm also very in tune with the masculine energy I hold, right? So I'm like, oh, you mean me? Because that, to me, that's saying I subscribe to all of the cultural tenets and mores of the society in regards to women, and I don't. You know, I don't. I'm always pushing the boundaries. And so I'm like, well, what is cisgender? Does that mean you like men only? Like, what does that mean? It's like a list. And for me, what I've noticed doing energy work is, sometimes when I'm like, I feel a certain way, but then there's like this split energy. Yeah. It's usually because there has been a list prescribed for me and taught to me that I'm trying to check myself against. And I have to constantly like cut them cords, right? So I'm like, okay, other words that have been used to describe me: bisexual, queer, pansexual, like there's lots of categories that I could fit in, but all of them are like a prescription for me to figure out what moves I should be making. Why do we need that? We need that because we don't have enough practices that tap us into like what we actually want.
Right. And just to kind of give a definition to the term, my understanding of cisgender is that you can float in between, but you're not prescribed to one. That's my understanding. I could be wrong.
Yeah. Cisgender is a person who appears to be and lives as the gender that people like that has been matched up by their sexual organs.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
You know,
okay.
like, so
okay. So it's not a emergent, right? Right.
Yeah, and you just
Oh, so absolutely. Yeah. So but you're telling me now is that that's not accurate. You're saying that.
Well, does that include, because people have all kind of understandings for what that means about my proclivities or like the way I would respond or behave in any certain situation. It's like, if that's the case, this is why I am really reluctant to say lots of things, you know, like I'm this or I'm that, because then there's this list like sign right here, you know what I'm saying? Like,
okay.
You know, how many studies have been done about gender and sexuality fluidity? This is why people are killing themselves, or they feel like they can't, you know what I'm saying? It's like, they was fine yesterday, then they just took a whole bunch of pills.
Yeah.
Why you think? Because they don't have a place. And why is that so much of our conversation? What I want to have a conversation is, how can you tap into what's right for you? And how can we make space for everybody? Because what's odd to me, especially for people who are in this game of like Black liberation, what they mean is everybody do this. They don't mean everybody be liberated. They mean everybody get on the same page and do this, so that we can have some kind of ordered society and ordered existence. And I think I don't think they're paradoxical. I think we can have a society where people are self-aware and self-motivated and also righteous, you know, in regards to how they interact and deal with other people. We were talking about that last week, like how people get in relationships and they like, well, I got, you know, I think you were saying something about the way men, like, if they get caught, they like, well, it's because I couldn't tell you, you know, you wouldn't accept that. No, it's because you didn't say what you meant.
Right.
You weren't honest. You couldn't bring yourself to saying, you know, I saw one of the topics that you had down, which was really interesting to me, like about polygamy. If that's what you want, say that.
Yeah.
Say that, yo.
Yeah.
I know your grandma gonna clutch her pearls.
Yeah.
Jesus.
And,
you know, but the thing about it is, what I hear from my ancestors all the time, and especially recently as I'm deepening my work, they want me to be as free as I can, because I'm not the first one. I'm just the first one that the opportunity is less dangerous enough to speak some of my truths and live it in a public way. Not all of them. I mean, you know, the world is still dangerous, but that don't mean I don't get to know it for myself.
Right.
You know, and that's the part of the conversation that's like, sometimes I'm listening to stuff, I'm like, okay, we're still performative. We're still very, very performative in our Blackness. What does that mean? What does that mean? I don't know.
Well,
question.
Yeah, but this thankfully loops back around. So it loops back around to Doo-Wop, because one of the other phrases that I've used, especially in talking with ladies before out of that same song, is don't be a hard rock when you really are a gem, baby girl. Respect is just the minimum, right? So she gets on there, and one of the reasons why I wanted to start the podcast using that song as one of the first is because it was only in the last 10 years or so I was able to actually hear the lyrics. I listened to the lyrics, but then I heard the lyrics the last 10 years, and it made so many things clear. So number one, she's talking to women first. Second verse, she's talking to the men. She said the second verse is dedicated to the men, more concerned with his rims and his Timbs and his women.
Exactly.
Man, come in the club like hooligans. Don't care who they defend, popping game like you got game.
Right, exactly.
So she was talking to both sides, right? And then the last one was just trying to bring everybody together to understand, like, watch out as an individual on both sides. Watch out, watch out. look out. And that turns into what I have always tried to say. But yes, there is a need to address responsibility on this side. There's a need to address responsibility on this side. But one of the tenets that I have tried to bring across in the whole relationship game is that individuals, if me as a man, if I got better at my filtering or my interview system, because I'm in charge. It's the same anecdote I give people a lot. Then we go back and forth about this. I'm like, if I allow a crackhead to walk up to me and occupy more than 36 seconds of my time on the sidewalk, that's not on the crackhead. That's on me, because I know better. So anytime a man says that a woman did this to him, or a woman says a man did that to him, I immediately say, if somebody walked up to you, you don't know, and asked you for your car keys, what you gonna say to them? You're gonna say, you get the heck away from me. They're not gonna be able to they're not gonna be able to enter into your space and your time and your energy. So if you are in charge of your time, how you protect your time is on you. That does not absolve people of what they do to you. But what it does say is you are in control of how long you entertain anybody in your space, man and woman.
Your boundaries are your own to tend.
Your own contend.
We saying the same exact thing. Like when you take residence of that dominion over your own life, for lack of a better word, the dominion over your own life. We talked about it. Like I am in, it's like the cycle just keeps going around and gets deeper, right? Yeah. So it's like I did some boundary, like when my life was really like, oh Jesus, push the boundaries out, try to do some boundary work. It comes back around and you're like, okay, wait, I still have better people, much better people, but they still stepping off to the left in ways that I don't quite like, right? Because I've grown and I need more things, and I have found out different things about how I want to move. So like you said, it's my responsibility. And this is why I'm always like, people who like, I ain't no close combat kind of chick. Like that right there is just too much, energetically. Right. It's too much for people to be this close in my boundaries, and then it's just like, where did that come from? Oh no, let's get you from across the street, from across the city. Yeah. And that's the thing. I so resonate with that, and it's because we hide from the responsibility and the cultivation of courage that it takes to speak truth to ourselves, to know our own truth, and to see what people actually doing, Not that somebody got to be perfect, but you at least got to be willing to hear the truth and do something about it. If you to the left, like, okay,
something about it.
Oh, you just want me to walk around like this, like I can't see here or nothing. It's just.
And I feel like what interrupts that process is there is a place for talking about your experience. And I'm saying this to both, I would say this to both men and women. There is a space for men to have to express what a woman might have done while they were in a relationship. But there's also space, not a but, it's an and. There is also space for a woman to be able to express how men have done her. We've got to leave that available to people as well, because the personal experience is how we express context, and it's also how people analyze. Yeah. The issues that I think where comes in there is when each side thinks that just expressing against the other side is the entire process.
Right.
Because at that point, okay, you got your expression out. Now, again, going back to the own dominion. Why, when X happened, your reaction wasn't to remove that from your space?
Exactly.
And that does not mean that the person wasn't wrong. It doesn't mean that the person gets off scot-free. they're not getting off scot-free. You know why? Because you're removing yourself from them.
Exactly.
If you want to look at it like some people feel like they didn't get to actually punish the person.
Right.
Like I didn't get a chance to do them like they did me. That literally is what I think. They don't express it all the time, but if you're reading in between the lines, they feel like you took advantage of my time. You took up my body. You took up my space. You took up my money. Whatever that
no consequence.
Right. They feel like they have to do it equal, or they don't view it as an evaluation of how not to allow that to happen. It's focused on to let it happen again. It's focused on having to punish. There's a need to punish. I can't let it go because I got to punish, or I got to demean their character, or I got to look at the rest of them as suspicious, and maybe the next one pays for what that one did. I had to, there's this Facebook men's group I'm in right now, and I had to almost left the group a couple of times because I'm like, okay, the group was started to express our opinions and then circulate ideas on how we can better address making better choices in women. That's the way that is. Like, okay, again, give people space for their experiences, but then it turns into all black women this, and I'm immediately like, whoa.
Wait a minute. I know some black women,
My mama black. I start from there.
Wait a minute. Hold up.
Whoa, let me hold that point. This is the same thing I say about Trump people. I look at Trump people, I'm like, I don't care if it's Biden or Trump, but you are from a woman with a wife and got 4 daughters.
Yo.
And the first thing this dude was known for was saying you could grab women by the pee. I swear to God, when some other people said this, I said this, I'm like, I have had some raunchy conversations about things with women. I have never in my life heard or even thought of the concept to grab a woman by her genitalia.
To think about the level of
depravity.
That's this skewed humanity.
Yeah.
This skewed humanity. What I want to tell you was, Jude, I swear, every conversation we have, I love you more. I love you more with every conversation, because that if every man remembers and every woman remembers that which they came from, that which is the nurturing of life, the nurturer of life, right? So, but at the beginning, all of us got a black mama. You go back far enough, every human on the planet got a black great.
Every human on the planet.
Right, every human on the planet. And some people in some circles say that, but the way they performing around that is not, it's the same thing we got started on this conversation about. I hear what your mouth saying, but what the Bible says, you will know them by their fruits.
Yeah. Right?
So you don't really believe that it's not actionized if you can say something that is destroying that from which you came, right? And I have had a very, tension-based relationship with my mother. Yeah. But that is my mama. She carried me in her womb. She nurtured me. She had her, and she has a right to her own opinions and how she want to live, and so do I. That's what she taught me. She gave me everything I needed to go off and do what I think I need to do. 3 things that's like super important about what you said that hit me. 1, self-worth. Like you said, if people think the removal of your energy is not enough, that's a self-worth thing. The lack of my energy is hella cold. If I've given you my energy and my attention and my love that I bring to everything and my passion that I bring to everything I do, and I remove myself, that shit is hella cold. It's freezing. It's freezing in here, goddamn. Okay,
I got a couple of. Go ahead. Yes, please.
Like you said, life as a learning. If you don't walk your life as like, okay, I went through this experience. What am I here to learn from it? And then be able to eventually get to the place where we are even in this by saying, what are our intentions? How do we set the energy right? What do we hope to do? Like, you learn to do that on the front end. Those are your boundaries. Those are your intentions. You start to live an intentional life. So some of that shit you ain't even got to deal with because you like, I ain't even on that.
It becomes muscle memory. You
Memory.
When as soon as somebody do or say that,
yeah,
oh, that's ringing that bell.
Yes.
It's ringing that bell and that work you've been doing. There you go. Exactly.
And you know what you trigger for me? Muscle memory versus body hardening. And that's what I think a lot of people are doing. They're doing this body hardening. Like, yep. I'm just gonna be a shell where I'm numb and I don't
layers on top, layers on top, layers on top, layers on top.
You know, muscle memory to create a better life, a platform for which you grow within yourself. And the third thing was the healing that you have to do for yourself. Like, I wrote it down and then you said it. If people get in, I think, and I don't think everybody there are a group of people that just get in relationships and get in things to kind of pacify and to almost masturbate with people. You know, it's like, you masturbate your pain.
And let me make sure we understand the context. They're not connecting on that metaphysical level. They are masturbating. Whoa!
Yep. To get there, it's a pain release. It's a medicative type of thing instead of a heart growing. You know, exact. I've done it.
That's what I'm saying. I'm self-identifying. I'm self-identifying.
Like, you know.
Woo! Exactly. We got to talk about that masturbating with people.
Okay, look, let's put that on the list. Yo, we just created a whole bunch of topics to talk about just from this conversation. And so when you're serious about your own evolutionary growth, like there's a line that you cross over when you for real about your evolutionary growth. You are for real about, you know, not just being like one humanity, all Black people matter. There's a line that you cross. And if you're serious about that thing, you take your own healing journeys before you dare even entertain the idea of being in a relationship with somebody that you care about and you honor yourself in that. I'm like, I know my own light. It took me
a minute. Decades.
A decade of dedicated time. And points of darkness where I didn't think I would survive, trying to see the dynamics that I had put myself in and that I was participating in. And it continues. I'm still doing it. It's never ending. It just gets easier because what you gain by doing that work is just so rich and beautiful. Just you really gain such beauty in your life. So if you come to it like, I know my own worth, and because I know my own worth, I know your worth.
Right.
I know your worth and your light and what it is for somebody of substance to bring their whole selves into a relationship with someone else across the board with anything, any type of relationship. And you don't take that lightly. You like, let me do my work so I ain't the one damaging someone else in a way that's like, you know, and you pay for that karmically. You pay for it. Universe will make sure that you learn your lesson. You around here damaging folks like, oh, really?
And to back up what you said about not only the healing part that you brought up, but also I've right, because you the vortex, you have circled your vortex, right? I told you years ago that I had to come to this process to it. If I broke up with somebody, if I was with them for 6 months, I was going to be celibate for 3 months. I was giving myself 50% of that time back to me.
Oh.
And I don't know if you remember, I told you that. I've told you that years ago. I started that process. I know specifically it was after a relationship in 2014. I know exactly who she is. When I got done with that relationship, I said to myself, I said, okay, this obviously is not working. Because and one of the reasons why it was so relevant, why it was so huge to me that I needed to make a different change was we were dating long distance. She was in Louisiana and I was here. And I thought maybe that will allow me to be more focused, allow her to be more focused. Right. Maybe I need a Louisiana woman, you know, trying all of these different things, right? So then to see that not go the way I wanted it to go, I said, okay, I was like, I got to do something different than what I'm doing. What's one of the things I can do? Okay, I spent all this time. Let me spend some time back for myself, just reevaluate. And from then it started forward with me saying, okay, focusing on evaluating that 3 months allowed me to do a couple of different things. One, focus on things I could have done differently or things I could have saw differently at the beginning. Did we have the right energy match? Because in the end, one of the things expressed this to you, one of the things I always felt is that I've always felt I've been willing to do any doggone thing for my partner. And that energy has never even come close. Now, that's a personal assessment of that, but I trust in me trying to do this righteously. I can trust in me trying to do this righteously. So I'm going to stand on that. Right.
Exactly.
So, and then two, I didn't want to spend one. It was all about, I had to realize if I felt like I was the one doing what I was supposed to do, then it had clicked for me. Okay, I need to evaluate how I'm allowing a person that isn't doing what I'm doing. How can I do better at seeing ahead of time and reduce that time frame that I give them in my space, right? So one, work on my energy.
Just show up and I give you the keys to the kingdom.
And that's what I was doing. That's what I was doing, right? Exactly what I was doing. So evaluating what I didn't see. Two, paying attention to what happened within the relationship and how I was moving. And was I constantly stepping towards them without them stepping towards me? Like I was taking 5 steps, maybe they were taking 1. How do I evaluate how that works? And then 3, afterwards, okay, what was I not doing to grow myself during that time that I was giving away that energy to that person? And now I got to be like, okay, if I put off the certification test, boom, now I got to refocus on that certification test. Because what that's going to do is not only for me personally, I'm growing my skill set, growing my growth, growing myself. When and if I come up with that next person who might be the one to give me that back, I have spent time not worrying about punishing that other person.
Exactly. I've done my processing, my cleansing, my clearing, and recentering and growing.
At the same time, not growing while I'm focusing on how do I punish. And I'm coming back a step ahead of where I was before that started. So I got improvements in Trinity. I got improvements in Trinity, right? Because that way, and guess who also benefits from that? I got more credentials to put me in a better position to be more flexible for building my net worth, my energy, my spiritual, more time with my kids, more flexibility to work from home. So if my son wants to go to the gym in the middle of the day, because I did all that work and worrying about me and how I can be better and not finishing time punishing or focusing on how do I get them back, right? Yeah. The rest of my world continues to manifest bigger and larger things for
Oh my God, yo. I need you to write an article, a book, do something. Because, yo, when you say, what have I not done and given myself, whoa, that's like, I heard, like you said, we've had this conversation before and I heard that, but it hit me in a completely different way this time around. And I think also because, the conversation that you helped me around, like really noticing how all the relationships in your life are showing up, are they giving 11%, and you doing 89, and just really being real about that and being like, okay, yes, I have an attachment to this person. And sometimes the attachment be like hella irrational. Like, why? You know, why do I have an attachment? You know,
did the face. You did the face. You were like,
so what is this shit about? I just don't want to be alone.
When you start to do that evaluation, it comes clear.
And you basically, the whole thing that you just said was almost like an embodiment of one of the topics that I wanted to talk about. It was like how to slow down, the art of slowing down to speed up your liberation, right? When you do that, slowing down, like slowing it way down and just looking at it and seeing patterns and being like, what's here? What is here? You actually, the slowing down speeds you up. Yeah. It gives back, you know, like so many of the things I learned as a child, like in church and stuff, like even though I'm not, you know, I'm not a religious person, I'm a very spiritual person. Some of those basic tenets, they mean so much to me now. I understand them at a deeper level. It's like when it says like, the years the locusts have eaten will be returned to you. That's exactly how I feel about it when you go through a walk and you slow it down and you get a permanent tool in your tool belt if you do that work of slowing down and seeing what's there as far as your own patterns and how you can, you know, build up your foundation more based on that. You know, then you become at a whole nother level, and then you're not afraid. You're not as afraid. I'm not as afraid to take journeys now, you know, because I'm like, you know, it's literally all good. Like my teacher told me, have you heard of Mary Oliver?
Vaguely.
Okay.
Vaguely.
I had not heard of Mary Oliver, and I still don't know much outside of what my hey, please. Yes. Okay, thank you. Outside of what my teacher shared with me, but this was so significant, this quote. She says, "Someone I loved once gave me a box full of darkness. It took me years to understand that this too was a gift."
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Like, it's literally all good because I make it so. It doesn't matter what I walk through. I'll be able to use it towards whatever my mission, my divine purpose and mission is. And that's another thing. People literally don't know even where to begin to figure out why they on the planet. Why are you here? And that, you know, that just make us be like, you know,
just bouncing around off of stuff. Just bouncing around off of stuff. And letting people bounce off us, and we're not redirecting that energy. We're not absorbing it and trying to redirect. No, just bouncing off of people. And that's where that statement you made, masturbating with people is so relevant. Just bouncing off people. Bouncing off people.
You know, you got that quadruple bounce because you ain't purged your energy from the last 18 folk. So you just purging. So even just to bring it back around, like I know people who are in sacred sex, in the sacred sex industry, right? So tantric artists.
SEX. Okay.
Sacred sex. Yeah. So people who learn and teach tantric practices, people who are sex doulas, and things like that. So like not the horror category of like how we were talking about it before, people who just out here masturbating with others, right? There's another side of that.
God, we got to coin that, man. Ooh, if we could ever turn that into a book. Woo-wee.
Okay, look, you want to co-write a book with me, Joe?
Hell yeah.
I'm for real. Like what I feel like a book that we could definitely write is just what we have been doing the last forever years.
We already got 10 books in play.
Exactly. We're just talking about the evolution of how we have approached relationships,
Right.
You know, we've always had that space to talk about that and like to just be like, see, this way it happened. Like, you know? And it's such
Absolutely.
rich information to how we're both healing through that journey, you know. But people who do that with intention, like what I was saying before, like as that sacred archetype, they not holding on to that. They know how to, they know what they're doing, and they're not clinging to other people's energy. They're helping people to understand their own bodies and needs. Like, when do we get to do that? We get in relationship with people and it's just like, you know, no conversation. What do you like? What don't you like? Let's practice. You know, what do you like this? I don't know. Can you try it? And then I can tell you if I don't like it.
Right.
Like, it's none of that. It's none of that. It's none of that. It's just like, perform as you think this should be happening. Right? It's like a triggering that makes you feel like I'm going to be less than if I need some development and some unfolding of myself, you know? So it's just, woo, I'm telling you.
Well, so what I went ahead and do is created a folder on the G Drive, and I'll throw a Word document in. We need to start writing the outline for that. We need to write that, because this has got a, you know, I feel like this is a fire hose of outpouring. We got it. We didn't even touch on the topic that I was going to really like address. Like, we started a little bit on Doo-Wop, but it circled back around, which it always does. So, so that's a good thing, because
like just some rich healing.
Yeah.
That we're engaging in and that we can invite other people into. I
was just thinking the same thing.
Just the modeling of how to have this level of conversation.
Yeah.
And what it takes to cultivate it.
Yeah.
You know, if we hadn't had a 12, 13-year relationship already, however many years.
17, by the way.
17. Okay. See, so I tried to go lower this time because I'm always like, we've been knowing each other.
It's all good.
You always know the exact number.
Hey,
and then I'm like, okay, I know it's not 20. It's definitely not 25. Let's try 13. You're like, no, actually, if we didn't have a 17-year relationship that has evolved and been, you know, based on honesty and showing up as authentically as we can, we've been through a lot of shit, you know? You know? And
I'll never forget.
A lot of stuff about each other, okay?
I'll never forget, Miss. I don't think I can finish this master's degree. Wait, who am I talking to? Who? Don't make me come down now. You talking crazy right now. Don't make me come down now.
Right.
I'll never forget that.
Who you are.
You have what did Mufasa tell Simba? You have forgotten who I am, and you've forgotten who you are.
Oh, wow.
No, he said, you have forgotten who you are, and therefore you have forgotten who I am.
Right. Yo. And it popped me right back into, oh, damn, thank you. Woo. You know, it was the energetic, like,
right. I'll never forget that, because I'm like, I don't even recognize who I'm talking to right now.
Right.
I am empathetic to your current physical, emotional state, but you also not using all of your tools. Exactly. You are not tapped. You were tapped into energy somewhere over there, but it's not your own. So I don't know why you attracted or why that energy source is what you're attracted to, but you are not this weak.
Yeah. Well, I know exactly what it was. That idea that I had picked up somewhere or the other, you know, through many different imports, that I wasn't smart. You know, that I wasn't smart. Now, it doesn't make logical sense. Nothing that I've ever done. Well,
I know what you mean. We have moments. Okay.
Yes, and it does make sense for people like us and this is why I'm writing the stuff that I'm writing now, because people who are pioneers and people don't understand your big vision and some of your ideas and where you're coming from, you can, if you don't have people that you trust who also are in that lane, if you don't have people like telling you like, nah, you off to the left here, come back to yourself, yeah. We all need people like that in our circle, right? I call it my shaman circle, you know. Like, he's like, let me call my peeps who also not crazy, right? Because I'm having a moment. Yeah. But it comes from all those little imports of like, you know, I remember in graduate school, I used to be like, I would say something and people would try to explain to me what I was missing. You know, like, oh, well, what you don't understand is this is what I'm like, I get that. Right. That shit is totally uninteresting to me, right? It's like some of these conversations people have, and I'm like, I get that, but let's talk about like the deep root of that shit. You in a third universe, and they think they telling you something in the first. Like exactly. you're not even in the same universe with me. And I'm past and that bears on you if you don't see anyone else and you don't have any engagement with anyone else. And not that nobody else thinks like that. There are others who also think like that, but the system keeps them like not wanting to express. How do I know? Every one of my clients. Where do we say that they at? They're on the periphery because they couldn't conform to the BS. They were beyond the BS. Yes. They're at the peripheries creating things that other people can go into as options, right? It's like, so the modeling part, this is what I got. This is what the most sacred teaching from my teacher, you know, Wyoming has been. She says, Neith, sometimes I don't want to have a conversation with people, right? I'm just like, and sometimes I don't, but sometimes it's important enough to have that conversation, to speak my truth and say what I see, because it's modeling for someone else, you know, it's modeling and it's bringing attention to a dynamic that is left unspoken. So people can be like, the truth, when the truth hits you, that shit hit you. It's like, well, you saw me when you said masturbating with people. I was like, whoa. Exactly. That's the one. That right there. That was, talk about an epiphany. Yeah. Talk about an epiphany. Oof. And that's what I really am looking forward to creating with this venture. We have an opportunity to do that with and for people across the many spectrums that are all of our collective magic, because we have magic that both intersects, but we also have our own, you know, deep learnings that we've been able to do for and with ourselves. So and I got to wrap up here in a little bit, but I got to wrap too. So you see the document, I added lots of stuff down there at the bottom. In our planning document, you know, all the stuff that I was supposed to be doing. No, I did not. But let me. Lots of stuff in there for you to investigate. Let me see here. What you got going on here? Okay. All right. Bloop, 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 bloop. Wait. So do this from. Wait. So you put it at the bottom. Okay. Got you. Okay. Yeah. All right. Got you. Lots of things for you to investigate if you so desire. And I did look at the GarageBand videos. Yes. Okay. However, I couldn't do the GarageBand, like, you know, they both ask you to kind of look in there and see and do it along with them. Okay. And my GarageBand on my phone, it comes up with a different set of things. So of course, those, you know, he said go and try to update it and all that stuff. I went into the apps, tried to update it, but it didn't update nothing. It's a different, and it's just going to have a different feature set on the phone. I see. Yeah. Okay. Do you have an iPad at all, or is your iPhone's your only Apple product? Yeah. No sweat. I have to wait till I get the computer. Yeah, exactly. play with it.
No sweat. Yep.
Yeah, but I did look at them. I finished all of my assignments.
Cool beans. One of the things
I'm so proud of myself, yo, because I'm like,
yeah, you should be
loving discipline for and with myself.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said. Like, where am I spending my time? What's meaningful to me? You know? And it just gives me so much life to be doing stuff that I think is important and meaningful. Like, I can't live no surface existence. That shit is not fulfilling to me.
And you know? this like we talked about, like we have to, the theme has got to be centered somewhere on growth, because it's about expanding your toolkits in little bitty ways. And I had this conversation with my team member. And so she's been, you know, she needs to take a certification test. I would like her to take a certification test so she gets more contextual understanding of the IT security field. Yeah. But she's been putting off the tests for like since May. And I can see that, I finally just asked her one day, I could see that she feels like, in essence, like she didn't want to let me down, that she failed. And I just asked her, I was like, are you afraid to take this exam for some reason? And she was like, well, I just feel like I don't want to. I'm like, let me guess. You feel like you're going to let me down if you don't pass. And she's like, yeah, like, I'm so scared that, I just want to do well for you and this. And I was like, listen, you and me are cool. Okay. We cool. You can never look bad in my eyes because you're always going to try. I wouldn't have you on this team if you weren't somebody I felt I can trust with anything. I know that you're new and you're young and you're just getting started. You gotta allow yourself to be able to break some eggs, and I'm allow you to do that as well. This certification is something that I feel is needful for you to help you grow. It's not a measure and stick to eliminate you. And she was like, well, I know that, and I appreciate you always this and that. And she's like, but I was like, I have a fear for some reason of X, Y, and Z. I was like, oh, okay. I get all that. I was like, let me ask you a question. I was like, have you ever heard the acronym of what fear stands for? And she said, no. I was like, false evidence appearing real. Yeah. That's from Michael Jordan. Yes. Okay. And she was like, I didn't know that. Michael Jordan's as far as I know, he's the first person on record to have said that. Wow. Right? Because people try to, like, when they try to ask him, why does he take the shots he takes? Like, isn't he ever afraid that he's going to miss? And I think he also might have coined the phrase, like, you will miss 100% of the shots you never take. But it was. I think I saw on your thing. You have Michael Jordan on your something that you sent me, like a postscript. It said, "I can accept losing. I can't accept never trying." Yeah. Okay. It probably is, because there's one thing my mom used to say this since I can remember. She's like, nothing beats a doer but a trier. And she said, and to follow that up, she would always say, the answer is always no until you ask. Oh, yo, bring mama up in the room. She always said that to me. I got to write that down from mama. That's some mama wisdom right there. And really what the underlying current to that is, so many times people are telling themselves no. They're not even letting other people tell them no. Exactly. And that's part of this. That is part of the oppression. Exactly. That's part of the oppression. If you can hold people to not even formulate, first of all, not even be able to think about how to formulate the question, for one. Exactly. Number two, even if you can, you scared to ask. They telling themselves no before they even allow whatever oppressive force to even interact. So mama said the answer is always no. The answer is always no until you ask. Because that basically possibilities then. Yeah, exactly. Like it could be either one then. But if you don't ever open that possibility up and you telling yourself no, it's like, it's pretty ridiculous. What's your mom's name? Kathy Pearl Rowan. Kathy with a K, middle name Pearl Rowan. And my last name. Rowan. And my other business is KPG Associates. I used her marriage name, Kathy Pearl Gaspard Associates. But I remember I found 2 years after she died, I found a Michelle Obama millennial book. When they got elected, I think it was like, I got a copy for it right there. I'm going to show it to you. But she had wrote a note on it to all the kids. And basically it was like an inspirational type of note on the magazine. She never sent them out. Because this had to been like, this was 2 years. Let me see, she died in 2016. So that was Obama's last year. So this was 6 years after he got inaugurated. So she bought, it was an inauguration issue. She either forgot to send it or just never gotten around to send it. And I found it going through her stuff 6 months after she died. But it was an inspirational note. And on it, she said, you know, always go for your goals or something to that effect. And that's when I formed the KPG Associates then. But, her other phrase was nothing beats a doer, but nothing beats a, I messed that up.
Nothing beats a trier but a doer.
No, so I'm messing it up.
You need to ask Mom.
No. Well, I think you said it right. Nothing beats a failure but a trier or something like that. But the last thing is that, so speaking to her, I said, Mahi, the thing you have to keep in mind is you have already been successful, haven't you? And she's like, you see the light bulb go off. I'm like, you've already accomplished a degree. You told me that you were a really, really great high school student. You've been to a few places around the world. Your parents made the trip here from Pakistan. You know, you're bilingual / trilingual. You know, you're already successful. You went from work. She was the property management person at our building. And I would see her every day. Her desk was like on the way to the gym that we had in the building. And every single day, I was like, one of the things that gave me the thought to even try to interview you was that you were always smiling and always had a very outgoing personality, you know, just above and beyond just a customer service thing. Like you were legitimately a happy person, that you put that energy out there because you have that in your spirit. I was like, that job was going to, you know, you didn't really like the job. You felt like it was a dead end job. And because of the energy you put out towards all the other employees, our HR, our director of HR, passed her in the lobby one day. They started talking. She said that she mentioned that she had gotten her cybersecurity degree. And the HR manager reached out to me. She's like, you need to talk to our director of IT. You know, I think Charlton might want to bring you on his team.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm
just
like,
because of your light that you shining.
So you should, like, she was like, she started brightening up, and I'm like, you've already been successful. Yeah. Why are you doubting yourself? You wouldn't be successful
because
in this?
We don't, there's not enough people like you in the world who understand the value of the real things.
Yeah.
You know, of the real things, like all those brilliant people that you worked with in the past, but had really fucked up ways in which to interact with other humans.
Schnitzer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can take away the brilliance of his mind, but it is greatly diminished by the darkness in his heart.
Yep.
You know,
I give him credit for a lot of the way that I am with attention to detail, because he would he would demean me so hard. I never wanted to experience that again. And it pushed me to study or know the details of certain things that I'm talking about. Don't speak about something if I haven't done the research on it and be able to defend that position. That came from Schnitzer.
Box of darkness, and you knew how to turn it into something for you, you know?
That came from
Even manure got a purpose. Put that mug around some plants and watch it grow. You know? So it's like, all right.
I mean, maybe if we see each other, I might give him credit, but if he asks, I'd tell him, I owe you a lot for being an asshole.
Exactly. What maturity when we can get to a place where we can be like, somebody don't have to be all or nothing. And none of us are.
Right.
This is the other thing I want to make sure I put on there, you know, about this cancel culture.
Yeah.
You know, ideology. It's like, if the base of what we are, the base has to be everybody has eminent value. I mean, just value based on them just being a human on planet Earth. If you ain't doing nothing but breathing out so the trees can have some what they need to give us more oxygen, then you are doing something. You know, I ain't got to pretend like you know, you doing more harm, less harm than good, but we have to hold on to that other side. Otherwise, that's the fuel and the catalyst for genocide.
Right.
And we have to be like straight up. If we don't have that in our hearts, like everybody got value across the board, we're never going to get there as a humanity.
Because again, like you said, taking that bowl of negativity, like it helped me grow. Yeah. Every experience is a lesson, or at least it can be if you use it the right way. You know, and
that don't mean you ain't got to work with him for 20 years to get the lesson.
Exactly.
Like, I deserve more than this. I've had enough of this journey to realize, oh hell no, you don't value me. I value me. I know who I am. And that's what you have. That's one of your magics and your medicines. Like, for real, take that up as an intentional, that's a medicine that you have and you hold. Yeah. You a straight shaman. Like, I know those aren't the words you use, but those are the words I use. Because you have specific medicines that you are really just expert and understand at a deep level, and you can inspire that in other people. You know, it's really, brilliance.
And I appreciate that. You know, it's the same thing that we talked about, and she changed her whole mentality, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna do it. You know, I'm like, I'm like, that's all I was waiting for. You know, listen. And I was like, even if you were feeling nervous about it or scared about it, I was like, you can tell me anything. You know, you could tell me anything. This isn't just a business relationship. You know, I feel like we're gonna be friends forever. You know, we have a construct that we operate in, but just know that you can tell me anything. You know what I'm saying? And I'm always
a real human. I ain't playing by this like this other stuff is like
I'm always gonna look out for your best interests. You know, I'm gonna look out for the best interests of your marriage. That's how deep it goes for me. Exactly. You know, he's not even my husband. You're not even my wife, and I'm gonna look out for y'all. Like, I was trying to get her husband hired because he has sales director experience, but unfortunately at the time they wanted people in New York, and he wasn't gonna do that. But I was like, I take care to that level. Exactly. I take care of my closest to that level. So it is what it is. Do you want to close us out with something, or you're, yeah.
My body feels like dancing. And I just give such thanks and appreciation for this really sacred time for us to be in community together and to deepen our relationship, and to use it all, to use everything that we have available to us to really bring forth the liberation. Say hey. Let's say hey, Uncle Duke.
What's up, young lady? Hello.
And this is beautiful because this is what we're doing it for, so these little ones can have different opportunities, different ways of being, so they can really be free. Like, we are believing in liberation through what we're doing. We actually believe it and hold it in our hearts. And so I give thanks and praise and appreciation for our willingness to do this work, to do this sacred work. And bless us with abundance, with all the tools, the right people, places, things that will really just come in and help us to import some of this good knowledge that can be used for the liberation of our people. Amen. I say so it is. Ain't that right, Lovey? No? Okay. Oh, you did? Okay. Yeah, I got to get this little being on this mic.
Seriously, I put there's a new Excel spreadsheet in there. That's the breakdown for the hour in there for you to look at. So it's like we talked about having the old school music section. There's a Black History section, all that kind of stuff.
Where's that now?
It's in the G Drive folder, where you the same folder where you made the document edits.
Well, you just sent me that document, I think.
No. So
The
if you,
whole folder?
yeah, so in the Sankofa podcast G Drive folder,
Oh, I see. Okay.
yeah, production script. So
All right.
there's that. I also created a book idea folder. So what I will do is I already have a few book outline templates. I'll throw one in there.
Okay.
And I think we should, and when we feel inspired or when we have our talks before or after, we come up with an idea for a chapter and just start to work on the outline.
Yeah.
Start to work on the outline because
Let's do it.
we got to put this down. We got to get this down. I have a lot. So I subscribe to Poets and Writers, which is a magazine that I can get through my library account. And there's articles all the time about how to self-publish, how to self-promote, how to do like a virtual agent, like not somebody that you have to pay 30% of your commissions or anything like that, but just somebody to help do the agent stuff, like having a phone number of a person that you call your quote unquote agent. Virtual publishers, virtual editors, virtual agents, all that stuff is available.
Immediately.
Say that again?
I need that immediately.
Okay, so here's one thing I would recommend.
Because I'm writing a book actively.
I know. Yeah, you should. Yeah, you should be. And I was gonna say that if check with your library system. Do you have a library card for your local?
Mm-hmm.
There's a app called RB Digital, Romeo Bravo Digital. Download that to your iPhone right now. And then when you do that, there's a search you can do for library systems. I think you type in your zip code or your city, state, or whatever. Now, this company, what they've done is there's over 115, I think, magazine subscriptions that you can get for free via your library account. So RB Digital is the one that I use here in Virginia. Maybe it's a different one out with you, but start with RB Digital. When you install it, it'll ask for your county or zip code or something to locate you. And then you put in that info and just see if you already have an account set up with your library system. And if not, call them up and say, hey, if y'all don't already have a digital media subscription, can you talk to the RB Digital people and get on that? Because I think they can set that up in like a week. I don't know if it costs. Yeah, it's apparently they're spreading wildly, and it shouldn't take your library system very long at all to get on that. But I will at some point I will try to find the articles that I bookmarked that talked about the virtual publishers, virtual editors, virtual promoters, agents, so that all of that eventually will go into the logistics of putting the book out. I already have a thought for the title, the Trinity Healing Process, or Healing in Trinity, because it's basically and I think, again, us not being overly religious people, but I think it'll identify with people by using that word, because it's evaluating myself, what I could have done to heal this better, and what was I not growing in while I was in that situation that I now can put that energy towards. So when the next one rolls around, I'm still ahead of where I was. Instead of spending time punishing.
Is that what you put in the folder for us to?
Oh, I'm going to. I'm gonna.
Put those couple of sentences there, because that I am so that's giving me all the feels.
Yeah.
Okay. But when I say stuff gives me a sparkly, what is really an orgasmic feeling. Right. That's how I know, like, stuff that's really like rich and juicy for me. I'm like, ooh, I really want to explore that.
Yep.
I really want to explore that. So yeah, that's cool.
This rhythm is great. Yep. Thursday, we're good for Thursday too?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Y'all take it easy.
Love you so much.
See y'all later. Bye, Angel.
You can't get it back? Okay. Let me help. This is. Peace and light.
See you.